Japanese people are really thin. It's probably one of the things that you notice when you come to Japan. The question is, why? Maybe it's because of advanced fitness equipment like this. Longu piro piro! You might think it looks like a normal party whistle, but this thing will build your core muscle and help you burn fat while training your facial muscles. You are getting thinner and more beautiful at the same time.
Don't hate me, because I'm beautiful.
Why are Japanese so thin? Well, there are several reasons, but not all of these reasons are good or even healthy. In fact, I've had my own struggles with trying to fit in with Japan's thin-obsessed society. But before I tell you my story, let's look at how Japan is designed to keep people thin. Traditional Japanese food is usually very nutritious and healthy with seafood, low fat, and fermented foods. But that doesn't mean that all of our food is healthy. We have high-calorie foods like tempura, udon, ramen, and so many more that can be unhealthy. But even some of the traditional meals that Japanese considered as junk food can be healthy. This beef rice bowl set comes with miso soup and pickles. Even if you don't think the beef and rice is that healthy, you get some good nutrition thanks to the fermented ingredients in the soup and pickles. Maybe it doesn't look like the healthier choice, but when you compare it to a McDonald's meal, it's definitely better. Also, it's much easier to find more healthy options in Japan. Yes, you can find sushi restaurants, soba shops, and more. Not only that, but convenience stores sell a nice variety of salads, low-fat chicken breasts, healthy soup, and more. I have to mention the portion sizes. The first time I ate out in the US, there was so much food on my plate. I couldn't finish it, so I forced myself to eat everything. Mr. It looked really surprised to see me eat all of it and then said, "Oh, why didn't you ask for a to-go box?"
To-go box? Maybe I just could take it home.
I learned something really important about American culture that day and promised myself to never make the same mistake again.
Can I get a to-go box? Yes, to-go box. Thank you.
In Japan, we don't have this leftover culture. And to be honest, our portions are so small that you really need a to-go box. Not only that, you guys put salt and pepper on the tables. Some places even have packs of sugar so you can make your soda sweeter? It's not so common to find salt, sugar, or other condiments at restaurants in Japan. Also, when you go to a vending machine or convenience store, you can find a lot of non-sweet drink options as well. In fact, sodas are a little more rare in vending machines in Japan. Another thing that surprised me is all the free food you can get at the restaurant. They give us food before we even order our food. And at some steakhouses, they give you free bread.
They got honey butter in the thing, and the butter is as equally good as the bread, and so why nobody told me?
Not only that, it's so common to order appetizers too, which we really do in Japan. This is also a good time to mention that we have a saying, hara 8分目. It means eat until you are 80% full. I don't know if you guys in the US have a similar saying. I really felt like yours was eat until you have to unbutton your jeans, then take the leftover home. Since Japanese people are so thin, they must be exercise freaks, right? In a survey about physical activity, 54.9% of Japanese said that they don't do regular exercise. Even though so many Japanese people don't do regular exercise, they have to move ton just to live their daily lives. Japanese people walk as much as this guy eats cake.
Hey!
Towns and cities in Japan are zoned so that things are closer together and more convenient to get to. When you add in reliable public transportation, it actually becomes more convenient to walk everywhere instead of driving. In fact, for the average Japanese man in their 20s to 50s, they'll walk about 8,000 steps a day, doing normal things like going to work, shopping, etc. For women, it's about 7,000 steps. This is almost double compared to the average 5,300 steps of American men or 4,900 steps of American women. And most Japanese aren't just walking flat ground. They're going upstairs hills and running to get where they need to go. Even Japanese children walk to school in groups instead of taking a school bus. When I go to work, I have to walk about 2,000 steps from my house to the train station. Then I have to walk over 1,000 steps to my workplace. So by the time I get to the office, I've already walked about 60% of the steps the average American woman takes in a day. But even though Japanese don't focus that hard on getting regular exercise, the government, schools, and even companies are always encouraging us to be healthier. For example, one of the oldest radio programs in Japan is called Radio Taiso. It's a morning exercise radio show where you exercise to your classical music. It's been playing since 1951, and people of all ages still do it to this day. Of course, it's not as intense as going to the gym, but the important thing is to do a little by little every day. You can even do a similar workout routine with Pokemon if that's your thing. Of course, another important factor is our genetics. You can find plenty of Japanese people who eat tons of food and never seem to gain single pound. It's not fair. This lady, Azuki Moeno, has a huge appetite, but never seems to get any bigger. Why?
It's crazy how much she can eat, huh? Oh, she probably takes these huge dumps. You ever wonder how heavy they are, or like what they smell like, or... What?
But she's not the only one who can do this. We have many of these food fighting competitors, and the biggest thing you will notice about them is their tiny size. Even regular high school or university kids are super skinny but eat a ton. One time, Burger King in Japan had an all you can eat event where you had 30 minutes to eat as many as Whoppers as you wanted. Mr. Itch told me that when he tried it, he could only eat 2 Whoppers before he was too full. But there were super skinny college boys who were able to eat 5 or 6 Whoppers. That's right, this big boy was getting out-eaten by these small guys.
So full. Oh, I could only finish 2 of these. You know, they don't let you take those home. So I had to sneak it out of my pants. What?
The reason why is because many Asians, including Japanese, aren't as insulin sensitive as people from non-Asian backgrounds. Insulin is the chemical our blood makes to clean sugar out of our blood and move it into our liver and muscles as energy. It also moves any excess sugar into our fat cells for later use. But because our bodies aren't that good at using insulin, our blood gets thick and syrupy over many years, which results in us having diabetes. Without a good way of turning our sugar into fat, it just floats in our blood instead of making us chunky. These are pictures of children with diabetes before the invention of insulin, and this is after they started taking it. So without being able to use insulin as well as other races, us Asians tend to stay naturally skinnier. So even though we might be skinny and look healthy, we are more prone to developing type 2 diabetes compared to a non-Asian. You'd have to be pretty rare to be fat, have diabetes, and be Asian. You are the chosen one! All hail the chosen one! I think the biggest thing that keeps Japanese people thin is the culture. After all, it's the thing that made me go from being fat most of my life to being much thinner. First of all, being thin is seen as the most beautiful and perfect body shape you can have in Japan. Of course, Japanese women admire Hollywood actresses and models who are fit and have great butt. But for Japanese beauty standards, being thin is the ideal. Even guys should be tall and thin rather than big and muscular like American dudes. But it's not just about being beautiful or cool. Being thin has been seen a very normal thing for many centuries in Japan. Look around a major Japanese city and you'll see that there are very few big people. In fact, big people have been so rare in Japanese history that we made them wear thongs and slap each other for our entertainment. And that's how sumo wrestling was born. But there are negative pressure of the culture that can make you feel bad about being big. If you're chubby or overweight, don't be surprised if people start commenting on your weight as they get to know you better. It's not that rare for someone you know to say, "Hey, you're looking a little chubby. Did you gain weight?" And in some cases, they might start touching you like they did it to Mr. Eats. Sometimes his coworker would pinch his belly or even slap it.
Can I go home yet?
No, I still got to practice my leg strikes. In this case, it was seen as guys play, but if you are more sensitive about your weight, it can really hurt you. Of course, you'd never do this in a country like America or Canada, etc., right? I talked about why it sucks to be fat in Japan, and there were so many comments that said, if someone touched me like that, I would punch them. Hey Siri, remind me not to slap anybody else's tummy, except my husband's.
Alright, I've added it to your list.
Of course, those two things tend to happen more commonly among guys than women. But just because it doesn't happen so much among women doesn't mean that it doesn't happen at all. In 2019, the chief executive creative director of the 2020 Tokyo Olympic thought it would be a good idea to make Naomi Watanabe, a famous Japanese comedian and model, dress up in a pig costume. He suggested that she could be called the Olympic and perform for opening ceremony. Of course, he faced a lot of backlash and had to resign from his position. It might seem controversial, but being fat is not seen as a good thing here in Japan. In fact, it can be seen as quite shameful. I know in many Western countries, fat acceptance is becoming more popular, but this idea doesn't really exist in Japan. We widely believe that being overweight is overall bad for your health. And that's not just Japanese belief. According to the CDC, being overweight or obese causes a ton of physical problems like high blood pressure, diabetes, strokes, and even mental problems like clinical depression, anxiety, etc. I don't think you can find anyone in Japan who will agree that being overweight or obese is just as healthy as being slim in shape. Of course, that doesn't mean that you can't be funny, talented, beautiful, or handsome if you are overweight. But there are real health problems that are caused by it. It also doesn't mean that our society has to accept or encourage bigger people to lose weight through mocking them or making them feel uncomfortable, because it can cause more damage to them, like it did to me. As I mentioned earlier and in a previous video, I was a big, chunky kid. In fact, I was pretty chunky until my early university days. I just really loved to eat, and I still do. I didn't really notice that I was bigger until I got into junior high school. As you know, Japanese girls have to wear skirts as part of their uniform, and as I was becoming more self-conscious, I hated to show any part of my body. I felt ashamed of myself and then always compared my size to other smaller girls at school. The worst part was when I entered high school. I still remember there were these disgusting hentai boys who would sit on the floor in the halls during recesses and lunch breaks to look at the girls' legs as they walked by. All the girls felt so uncomfortable because of them, especially me. Every time I passed, I could hear them laughing and saying things about me. It happened so often that I didn't even want to go into the hallway because I knew those hentais would be there laughing at me. Even when I really had to go to the bathroom, I just held it and then tried to go whenever I knew they weren't there. And then even worse, during the summer, we had to do swimming during sports class. That was torture. Those things affected me so much that I tried to find any reason not to go to school. I also tried to lose weight in really unhealthy ways just to get them to stop. But in the end, I just ended up feeling anxious, depressed, and sick of myself. Some people think that shaming fat people is actually a good thing because it will motivate them to lose weight. In some cases, yes, it can work, but in many other cases, it can do even more harm to them, both mentally and emotionally. You have to understand that a lot of bigger people already have a voice in their head that tells them, "You are disgusting." So when people start saying those same words to them, It just destroys their self-worth. When I got into university, I finally decided to start losing weight. I started doing exercises that were fun and eating healthier. I also slowly cut out my favorite junk food out of my diet. As time went on, I started to lose more weight and feel better about myself physically. At the same time, I started to get a lot more positive attention from the boys.
Damn, girl, you looking good. I definitely want to snap into you like a Slim Jim. Ooh, yeah!
But even though I was looking better and getting more attention, I still didn't feel good about myself. I thought losing the weight would instantly cure me and make me feel good. But I realized that all that mental and emotional damage I got when I was younger still affected how I saw myself. Fixing my physical health was only part of the solution, but the most important part was fixing my broken heart and spirit. The harder thing was learning to let go of the pain I felt from looking different, being mocked by those hentai boys, and all the negative things I believed about myself. I spent so much time running away from those bad memories, but I knew I had to face them and learn to let them go if I wanted to get better. Next, I had to learn to stop blaming myself and letting my regrets take over my thinking. It wasn't easy at all and took a long time, but I was finally able to find peace with my past and my experiences. I was able to understand that without going through all of it, I wouldn't be the person who I am today. It wasn't easy, and I felt like I was doing all alone. As I mentioned earlier, Japanese are generally pretty skinny, so it was hard to find someone else who was going through the same struggles as me. But I worked at it little by little because I knew that my health and happiness is a lifetime project, not a short-time goal. It also helps me when Mr. Eats gives me some nice compliments all the time.
Damn, girl! If you were a cherry, I'd pop you in my mouth and do this!
Okay, that one was kind of weird, but he usually gives me more normal compliments. I learned a lot about who I was and who I am because of that experience. But the most important thing I've learned is to let go. I've learned to let go of the physical things that I thought made me feel better, but didn't. I can say no to having a piece of cheesecake because being healthier makes me feel much better. And trust me, it's not easy because that cheesecake can make me feel pretty good. Another thing I realized that I've got to make the healthy choice easy and the bad choice harder. If I keep junk food in the house, it's only a matter of time before I dig into the box of chips and stuff. But keeping our house free of bad foods and having a ton of tasty, healthy options around me, it's just natural that I'll eat better. So I make sure I can get great nutrition as quickly and easily as possible. One thing that really helps me is AG1 by Athletic Greens. They are sponsoring today's video, but I've really become a big fan of it. It's a drinkable powder filled with a ton of nutrition that definitely boosts my health, mood, and energy. This one scoop has over 75 vitamins, minerals, probiotics, and more. I like to have mine with water, but you can definitely add it into smoothie or whatever you like.
It's very fruity. It's also creamy at the same time. I really like it.
As you know from watching my Instagram, I still eat some stuff I shouldn't be eating, and that's where AG1 can fill those holes in my diet. I really feel like it helps me with my energy, mood, and creativity. I also love that it's made in New Zealand. After living there for over a year, I know that they are using high-quality ingredients. There are no GMOs, pesticides, or artificial stuff inside. It really is the best and most convenient way for me to support my health, especially with my super busy schedule. Again, I'm not just saying this because they are a sponsor. It really does make me feel great, and it's such an easy way to be healthy when it's hard to. When you are ready to take your health seriously, click the link below to get year's supply of vitamin D3K2 and 5 travel packs for free with your first purchase. Finally, I had to learn to remember to embrace my own happiness in the healthiest way possible. I thought eating all the junk food made me happy, but it just covered the pain I was feeling inside. And I thought exercising and dieting made me miserable, but they were actually making me stronger. And I thought the voice inside me that said I was too big would be there forever. But it went away when I realized that I don't have to listen to it. I embraced myself, my situation, and my flaws and started to change them one by one. Mr. Eats got the result of his health checkup recently, and it showed that he's at risk of type 2 diabetes if he doesn't start taking care of his health right now. Instead of treating him badly like how I was when I was younger, I can help him the way I wish someone helped me, with kindness, compassion, and encouragement. Because the ultimate goal isn't just to lose weight. It's to do it in a way that's healthy, sustainable, and to make sure he loves himself whole time. If you guys are interested in following his journey, let us know in the comments. We'd definitely love to make some follow-up videos if you are interested. We have a long way to go before everyone starts helping each other like this. But what I can do is start with me and the people I love.